the west side of Chicago. It's time for the Gregory Struss Show. I'm Scotty Joe Vegas, inviting you to stay tuned for the next 30 minutes. We will discuss taboo topics and celebrate that Elmhurst is a really cool town. And now a man who's got to give it to his mama, give it to his papa, Mr. Gregory Struss! Give it away now. Give it away now.
I want to get a selfie.
All right, let's get it there.
All right,
Hey.
are you ready? Okay, there we go.
All right, Merry Christmas. Hey.
Thank you. Bueno, ¿cómo estás? And welcome to the Greg Show. Emanating here from the studios of NBC Comcast in Elmhurst, Illinois. And believe it or not, thank you. I don't know what that applause is for, but broadcasting on more power than your grandfather's shortwave radio, with just as many people tuning in. So it's good stuff. How you doing?
I'm out there pumping the show for you. I'm in hotels. I'm in gas stations. I'm in with guys with lost eyes with a hump and a club leg. I love them all.
Welcome to my world every day of the week. You know, that's what you got to get. So, do all of you have World Cup fever?
Woo! Yeah, I got the World Cup, baby.
In Elmhurst, like World Cup fever is like a cup of soup at the Rainbow. It's a special.
Oh, very good. Yes.
You know, the Rainbow
with
restaurant.
a Grecian dip.
Yes, the Grecian dip. Aunt Jean's here.
Yeah.
Yay! So Aunt Jean, how you been?
Very good.
All right, we'll talk to you in a little bit. But do you ever notice how there's always a different theme every time we come out here? There's always a different theme. This week it was triple play bingo.
Really?
Yeah, do you remember when we used to go to St. Mary's in Chicago?
Sure.
And Father Ostrowski used to always have a talk with us about, keeping our hands off the chips. But he was talking to me about the potato chips, and the rest was history, as they say. This is a true story. I was decked by a priest in high school. He walked up. Now, you know me. Have I ever stolen from anybody?
No.
Have I ever stolen material from anyone?
You've stolen a few people's hearts.
Okay, but that aside, have
Yes.
I ever taken something that wasn't mine?
No.
Knowingly.
No.
All right.
I vouch.
So,
I vouch.
I don't know, at the time, Promontory High School in Green Bay, Wisconsin, that's where I was for about probably first semester or so before I transferred to Thornton. And I'm like going into the ice cream machine, and at the time they had these machines that you could get an ice cream sandwich, pull up on a door, and then pull the thing out after you paid for it. Well, I didn't pay for it. I reached in the thing just to see if there was change. I had planned on putting money into the machine. And this priest, Rocky, he used to be a boxer. He had to be 75 years old, looked like he was 90. And he walked up to me and just, with a few expletives, and gave me an uppercut right into my side. And I'm like bent over. I have a bruise here today, but that's a whole separate story. And and he says, why are you messing with the machine? And it was like profanity laced. So I learned that priests do swear. He didn't use God's name in vain. He evidently used my name in vain and told me never to touch the machine again.
Wow.
I got decked in grade school.
By a priest?
By a teacher, and I never complained about it because I watched the movie The Green Berets later on, and I understood that you don't call people a certain name that they don't deserve to be called, such as a Filipino or a Japanese person. We're all different cultures. We love everybody.
Yes, and I've been reading this book. I like reading older books. Kitty Kelly's My Way about Frank Sinatra, and there were words in there that he used, and it was not, shall we say, politically correct, but it was entertaining for that period of time. All right, let's talk, sex sells, right?
Always.
Especially on Backpage.com. I don't know if any of you have known this, but there was a big to-do several years ago about how websites like Craigslist were setting up, you could advertise that you were a sex worker. So new Senator Mark Kirk has been trying to propose legislation that would make websites like not Craigslist, because they can't do it anymore on there, Backpage.com, list the identity and the ages of sex workers. And then he called the owners of Backpage.com whoremongers.
That's a pretty big word.
I'm like, a whoremonger.
I've used that in grade school.
And I'm like, so does this play into him being a pimp, trying to push his legislation? you ever notice how it works in the country? We have like other problems going on. And then we have to bring up new legislation. And although it's very important that kids are not being subjected to illegal activities, it's kind of, this website's been around for a while. And by the way, he's facing stiff resistance in Washington. Did you get that? Yeah. Stiff? Because it's like, where else are all the DL politicians going to, find their next trick? So anyway.
Wow.
It's
you opened up a page of the Bible that I don't know. Really.
But do you remember that? I think whoremonger is kind of an offensive term.
Let's break it down.
Okay, so let's think about how not everyone, how a large part or a part of American society.
Let's go backwards because I'm dyslexic and Polish.
Okay.
What does monger mean?
Mongering means that you're kind of pushing an agenda.
Okay. So we know what the first part of the word means.
Right.
But monger,
you're taking advantage of a situation. Much like President Bush. The second President Bush was called a warmonger. Look at what that did for us. It really didn't. So calling names does not really work and change stuff.
When we call each other's names, we're really hurting inside. That's what I've heard.
Yes. Another thing about, this whole Backpage.com thing is, where else will the rest of these politicians find their delegates? Thank you. All right, when we come back.
That was funny. That was kind of funny.
I don't know. I try to stay away from politics because
let's give it up for the studio audience
thank
tonight,
you.
ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for coming out. Yeah!
And here's another thing. I want to tell you, I don't care if we don't have a studio audience. I don't care if we have much of a crew. I don't care if we have power in the studio. Or a guest. We are doing a show. Because that's what it's about. It's the American spirit.
What about the two guys in the control room?
Well, the two guys, yes, Bob and Mike. But what I'm saying is, I always like to do a show with a full crew, and I was not looking to make any excuses to not do a show now.
There's no strength in numbers when you are at peace.
Amen, and I am at peace tonight.
Amen.
All right, tonight, Taboo Topics. We have some interesting talk.
We got to clear up some business, too.
Got to clear up some business about Grandpa Joe Vegas, because Aunt Jean was telling us about, you got to clear that up.
I got to clear it up. There's a lot of, actually, I said a few wrong things.
And then he was with someone last night, and that was a whole different clearing up. But that might take a couple days and some kind of snow.
Happy birthday to me.
Anyway, we'll talk about that after the break. Anyway, I'm Greg. This is The Greg Show, reinventing community television in the West Side, and we'll be back after this. Thanks.
Look at them fireworks.
Greg, is it true that you are related to Bobby Knight? A curious viewer, John Rhodes.
No, I'm not related to Bobby Knight!
God!
Hello. All right.
Welcome back to the Greg Show. I'm Greg Struss, along with Scotty Joe Vegas and Aunt Jean. And I feel like a Bob Hope right now when I say it. And I got to tell you, all of a sudden I start getting a coughing fit. I don't know what it is. As soon as the air conditioning in here kind of kicks off, I start coughing and sweating, and I feel like I'm having a cold all over again. You can't take me serious.
No, it's the Steve on the glasses.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's you're getting better now. Okay.
Hi. All right. So we want to remind you that we are on YouTube. The last show has not been posted on there yet. We are working our way to it.
Your two
and
shows
that's at
in the rears.
YouTube.com with the search words Greg Struss Show. Now, Scotty Joe Vegas is also in the search words. I think Aunt Jean is also in the search words. Yeah. Mosinee, Wisconsin in the search words.
Wow.
Absolutely. So we're trying to do it. And I think what's fascinating is there's been like a lot of changes at ABC. ABC News is shaking things up, and it's not because Diane Sawyer had another boob job, but it was because they want to go after the younger audience.
Isn't there more old people than young people?
No, but so David Muir.
Do you know how many times my aunt referenced TV today to me? She says Sam Champion and blah, blah, blah. I was like...
Sam Champion left ABC. He went to the Weather Channel.
But that's...
And
she's a baby boomer.
Right.
Okay, sorry.
So David Muir is now the anchor of World News, and George the Greek Stephanopoulos is now like the breaking news and live coverage. So they're splitting Diane Sawyer's, like I know her, Diane Sawyer's role.
Those women on the Good Morning America they have more testosterone than George Stephanopoulos. But hey, who am I? You know what I mean?
So anyway, congratulations to George Stephanopoulos, David Muir, and Diane Sawyer.
I can't clap on the last one. Right. Not a big fan. My dad wants to lay her down, but I don't know where he gets this from, you know?
She's 68, and
My dad's 83.
Yeah, but I mean... Yeah,
he climbed that wall for that.
So she's kind of...
She's a Louisville. She was from Louisville, Kentucky.
And I believe that Diane Sawyer was also either a member, not on Richard Nixon's cabinet, but she was in his presidential circle. I don't know if she was his assistant or something. But she's had a fascinating career, and I'm certainly not going to bore you with that right now.
Not a fan.
But yeah, I think it's great. She wanted to do the world news and did it, and reached that age where she just figured, you know what, let someone else do it. And what's funny is that, you know, you're starting to see all these people retire, supposedly, like Barbara Walters. David Letterman's going to be retiring next year. Jay Leno retired this year. And I'm about ready to retire, I think, after tonight's show. But it's fascinating because a lot of new youth, they're still chasing youth. Youth, as they say. So anyway, how have you been?
I've been fair. I'm getting back on the horse, man. I'm starting to hit it hard.
Did this look like it was sincere? How are you? All right.
Hello, Greg. How are you doing? Where's the elephant in your pants? Sorry.
Okay.
Should we go over the line?
Yes. Okay. All right. So anyway, you were talking about Larry Garrett. Larry Garrett was on here about a year ago, and he's a psychic. So as we're getting ready for the show, not a psychic, excuse me, he's a hypnotist.
Yeah.
And so Scott has taken a liking to Larry Garrett, who wrote a book about his experience reading Uday Hussein, who was Saddam Hussein's son. So he wrote a book about it, fascinating story. And Scott always goes to see Larry Garrett now for a reading. Not a reading, but what do you call when he hypnotizes
I would
you?
call it a plungering of the mind. He puts your mind at ease. Relaxation.
And so Aunt Jean also went. And did you find out what the elephant in the room was?
Yep.
All right. We'll be talking about the elephant in the room in the next segment because in our taboo topics of...
Oh, I love taboo topics. I'm ready this week. I'm not gonna. I will tell it like it is, bro.
Okay. Anyway, Rosie O'Donnell. Now we mentioned that Barbara Walters has retired from The View.
I saw Rosie at the Horseshoe Casino about it a couple years ago. That's it.
She was a comedian. She was performing.
She was trying to look like Oprah. She had a dress on. It wasn't Rosie that I know, but that's it.
Okay, so anyway, Rosie is going to be back at The View, and for a very short period of time, Rosie O'Donnell moved to Chicago, purchased a really nice place up in Lakeview with her partner, and was producing a show out of Harpo Studios with beautiful sound stages, and you know, and trying to make a go of a new show. She was very popular in her syndicated daytime show, and the reason I'm bringing this up is because I watched this last night. I watched her last show on OWN, and she said, and this really touched me because it was like she talked about how when they were starting the show on OWN, that they were trying to recreate what they did 10 or so years ago, and she came to the conclusion that she could never repeat it because it's going into the past, and you can never really repeat those things that were in the past. So she came to believe that trying to remake that whole thing just wasn't what she was about because she had gotten older and wiser. And she says, I'm not the person I was 10, 20 years ago.
Aren't we all that way?
Yeah. So I ask myself that sometimes when it comes to doing this because, you know, I started doing television shows when I was 15 years old, and it was something that I always wanted to do. I wanted to do it as much as I could do it, and it's like you drop everything you're doing, probably gave up a lot of different opportunities to do other things, and so I don't know. It took a long, was away from it for a while, but still wanted to do it, and now coming to the realization that I don't know. It's so much time and so much energy and so many expectations, I think, in doing something that's a grand scale.
When you're at the nursing home, I want to leave it all at the door and say, I lived life, so you got to do what you got to do.
So what do you think?
Man, you got to do what you got to do. I love coming here.
Yeah, I do too.
And the good people here,
Absolutely.
the wonderful people of Elmhurst and Oak Park. Hello, Larry. Larry out there in Oak Park. I gave him some gas last week because he was down in his luck.
So, where was I before he...
We had 1 minute, and also we got to wrap it up. So
okay.
we got to.
So anyway, I really related to what she was saying because she's like, here I was doing this thing, and then I didn't do it for a while and came back, and it just wasn't the same experience that I thought it would be. And now she's going back to The View, which will hopefully be a different experience.
Can you imagine
for
if
her.
you got married and you had to marry the same woman again? That's like what it is.
But isn't that the excitement about it? Because if you're with the person that you love, wouldn't you marry them all over again? I mean,
I would divorce mine again.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to get back on page here, and next up, Taboo Topics, and we'll be back in just a moment. Thank you.
All right.
Inside Thornton is a production of the Thornton Television News Service, the world's longest-running high school TV news service.
On last week's show, there was a question asked by me to Lisa Wakeham, who was a guest, on how it was to work with Mrs. one of the journalism teachers. We're now going to play back for you that segment of last week's show. Please. How is the charming Mrs. Simon to work with? How is she?
Oh, Mrs. is pregnant. I'm sorry, Mrs. But I had to do it.
She's married, I hope. No.
Yes, her second child.
No. Personally, at the time, I thought that was funny, but later on in the day it was played, I heard that Mrs. did not take it as a joke. To make a long story short, I'm telling you all for my sake and Mrs. that she is pregnant and she is married.
Okay, we have returned, and we're talking with Scotty Joe Vegas, and my favorite part of the show, Taboo Topics.
Taboo Topics.
I first want to say, because we were talking, and you say you're thinking about things. I'm not thinking about quitting anything. I'm thinking about, I'm a different person today than I was as I watch those shows on YouTube.com with the search words Greg Struss or Scotty Joe Vegas or Aunt Jean. And so, we change and develop and do new things. So it's kind of funny because as I talk to people, I'm just going on and on here. It's like, you're doing a totally different show than you used to do.
Yeah.
And I said, we got to do something simple.
You're human.
Yeah. Amen.
You have been broken down by life, and now as you are getting pushed towards being an elderly person, you are hanging on, going, there's the edge. Oh my God, it's all over. Oh my God.
Well, I feel like
Sorry.
I lived my life in
Taboo topic number one.
Taboo topic, living life in seclusion.
I'd agree.
Okay?
Yeah.
Because of having been held to such a high standard, I think, by people. Like, anytime I got in trouble in school, it's like, why is a nice young man like you getting into trouble? I hung around with the wrong group of people, not you. And
Thank you.
I had to preface that.
Thank you.
And Mrs. Simpson would always say, she had a rubber chicken in 7th grade. And she's like, what is it? And I always would have to stay, I'll get to the point. Always have to stay after school.
Thanks, Elmhurst.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Had to stay after school because my friends would always make me laugh so much. And I would be in tears, and I was obnoxious, and I always had to stay after school. But Mrs. Simpson would always say, what is such a nice young man hanging around with such filth? like this, and she point to
Wow,
the other people.
That kind of turned me on.
And
What's
she
her-
says, I'm
what's her
going to
number?
let you go. She will always keep me 10 minutes, but always kept the rest of those guys till the end. And she's like, I want you to do yourself a favor and don't hang around with such filth. You will always be in trouble with this. And she was right. I was always in trouble with those people.
I thought from the last show that you said you were emotionally unavailable.
I am.
Well, that was a little bit. You opened up a little bit.
Yeah, I'm
Thank you.
opening up. So, I'm taking steps, as
I got
they
you.
say. So that was, taboo topic 1, living
Okay.
in seclusion, and then being older now and realizing that, life is what it is, and what you say, you approach the old folks' home, which we're years away from, but not that far away
We're
from.
a stroke away.
We're a stroke away from
There
the
you
old
go.
folks. And what'd you say? I want to look out the door of the old.
I want to look out the door of that nursing home and see that all my loins have been laundered. Like your dreams, your goal, your visions.
All right.
So
during the break, Aunt Jean is saying how you made she didn't say you, but she's like, I want something corrected
Yes.
with what you stated about
My
Grandpa Joe Vegas.
on the show where I showed my great-great-grandpappy Vegas's tavern, my grandpa only went to jail for a half a day. And the guys in long coats bailed him out, and they kind of threw it away. And where that bar was in Calumet Park, but before Calumet Park was built, or named, it was called the Village of DeYoung, and that's my last name. So 123rd and Halsted.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No.
Yes. You look on the old maps, it's Village of DeYoung. And that was the name of the tavern, called Village of DeYoung. And I had one more. And then when my grandpa got caught, how he got caught was he was on a roof when he was bootlegging. He was hiding from the cops on a roof. And a little girl or little boy with a lollipop says, "Look at that man on top of the roof." And they drug his ass downtown.
Did he say, Randy, not here right now?
And no. What do you think of that red and black, huh?
I think
Oh, look at that. Hey, Moscow. I'm a crazy man out there to meet you
So I had
what's
to-
a buffet, eh?
I had to stir the pot a little bit because Aunt Jean said that she got you a tie for Christmas that you haven't worn.
She doesn't get it.
I told her. I said he didn't like the tie. You never
No,
said that. I
no.
made that up. I
But
made that up. I
Let me
lied.
tell you something, people. When you support your sports teams out there and you commit a crime or and you don't want to be marked, don't wear your sports stuff. You go somewhere because someone from Iowa will say, "Oh, he's a Chicago boy. What's he wearing that for? That boy needs to go back there to Chicago."
Well,
You got to just wear plain colors. You'll blend in.
right. Well, and sports is also like politics too. And if you're working with the public, okay, if you're working with the public,
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's a good idea in Chicago to be wearing a Cubs or a Sox.
Correct.
Because it's a polarizing topic. So let's say I'm going to someone's home and I'm wanting to earn a tip for a delivery. Let's
Yes.
just say that.
Yes.
Okay. And I have a Chicago White Sox jersey on, and they have a Cubs flag waving in the front. Well, what's that doing? Because some people are
A
offended.
bumper sticker if you if you're Jewish or you're Catholic or, whatever happened to be an American. And what's his name? The guy that Ramblin' Fever, what's that word? All I can say is Happy New Year, everybody. And the Stars and Stripes. That's 4th of July at Elmhurst.
Okay. And happy birthday, Scott. Happy
July
birthday.
1st, send your money, cards to Scotty Joe Vegas. We love you. Send your pantaloons their
Okay.
way.
So we're talking about taboo topics, and this is something that's interesting. I do DUI counseling, and it's court-mandated counseling for people that receive a DUI. That's driving under the influence. No, I'm not.
How many people have had, should have had a DUI in the state?
Lots.
Okay.
But the deal is this. You go through this. It is a horrible experience. But you know what? I think it's also a blessing on a lot of levels, because if something's not right in your life, you run into something like this. I would say that this is just as bad as any kind of life-changing event, whether it's affects your health, whether you have something that's affecting your family. This affects all areas of life.
There are consequences in every action that you
Right.
make.
But the people that come into some of these classes just do not get it. I want to tell you about this story about a man who was probably about 32 years old. And it was a Saturday morning, about 7:30 in the morning. And I think we'll continue with the story in a second because for some reason I don't think
You got
I have
the finger.
I don't think
You
I
got
have
the
enough
finger.
time. I don't think I have enough time to tell this story in this segment, but it's fascinating, and we're going to hear more about it. Anything else?
Happy 4th of July, everybody. Love your kids. Give them
By
a
the
kiss
time
that
this
night.
is on, it'll be like December. Go ahead. So anyway, we'll continue with this story related to DUI class. We'll blow you away.
I'm waiting for anticipation
Yes,
of the story.
and hopefully something that will change your life positively as well. When we come back in just a moment.
Ah!
Back.
Yeah.
Taboo Topics on the Greg Show.
Taboo topic number 14.
Okay. So anyway, this man comes into a DUI class, and he reeked of booze and reeked of cannabis. For those of you who don't know,
Weed, baby.
weed, baby, marijuana.
Marijuana, street
Okay,
money.
yes. So he's like, I think I have to drop today, and I don't give
I don't know
people
what drop
chemical
means.
taste.
Is that like
it's
tops
when
and
you have to
bottoms?
pee in a cup. All right. I hate to be so blunt, but you got to pee in a cup and take a drug test.
Easy where you put that hand.
Yes. Okay. So anyway, he comes to class. Says, well, I haven't been here for a while, and I was filling in, and I said, well, why haven't you been here? He said, well, I was locked up. I said, what were you locked up for? He's like, well, I was locked up because I was driving. Because after you get a DUI, you don't drive. 46 day after your arrest in the state of Illinois, it goes into what's known as a summary suspension. If you do not blow, the BAC, blood alcohol content, you receive a 1-year suspension. Now you can get what's known as the BAID device that you blow into it every whatever. It costs a lot of money. If you do blow, submitting to the chemical test, you lose your license for 6 months on the 46th day after your arrest. So you can still drive for 45 days after your arrest. So anyway, this guy comes in, says, well, I haven't been to class. And I said, well, why not? He said, well, I got caught driving without a license. I said, okay, when was the last time you drove? He said, oh, it's been a while. Okay, when's the last time you drank? He says, oh, it's been a while. I said, when's the last time you smoked pot? I said, let me guess, it's been a while, right? He says, yeah. And he's like, and I have to take a test today.
A little.
Yeah. And I'm like, okay. I said, do you think you'll pass? Oh, yeah. So I couldn't give him a test because, that wasn't my area of responsibility for that day. So he's in aftercare. Aftercare is the second part of your DUI treatment. You go, after all your court, you go for treatment. It's called classes. So you take those for 10 weeks, depending on what your rating was. There's all different kinds of rankings with DUIs. And then you go into what's known as aftercare, which is twice a week for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. So this guy is in aftercare, gets up after the hour, walks outside the door, feels on this truck, gets in the truck, and pulls away. And I was blown away by this. And it makes me ask now, how does my current behavior support my goals and the things that I value? And it's amazing that people that have been in trouble, and I mean, the average DUI is about $5,000 if you're lucky. But by the time you lose work, you lose your car, you lose your fees, your lawyer fees, everything else, you're talking probably $10,000 to $20,000 easily. And this guy gets in his car, pulls away after being in this class.
Did he have a work permit to maybe
No!
drive to work? No.
But he sat there and said, I haven't driven. Oh, it's been a while. Well, like what, 10 minutes since he pulled? And he pulled into the lot.
So he's
Parked
sick.
into the lot.
He's sick.
I would think so.
Okay,
yes.
so don't you have compassion for that?
I have compassion, but I don't have understanding
When you point the
of it.
finger at somebody,